Hello guys, so we are now at the Ethereum Community Conference in Paris. It's great to meet here Kain Warwick. He's founder of Synthetix. It's a derivatives liquidity protocol for DeFi, which allows trading Synths on Ethereum, like for example on crude oil or on traditional stocks like Tesla, Google, Amazon. Great to meet you here, Kain.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, so can you tell us about your journey in crypto? When did you first heard about Bitcoin and how did you get involved into it?
I came from a retail background, so the payment use case for Bitcoin to me was the thing that kind of got me interested. So in 2012 I was running a online retail startup, and a friend of mine, Asher Tan, who runs CoinJar, reached out to people and said, you know, we're starting this payment gateway, who wants to use it? And I was the only person who responded. So that was kind of my first like real deep interaction with Bitcoin.
So did you use like for e-commerce website?
For e-commerce, yeah. You know, selling computers and audio equipment, which is high fraud rates, and so Bitcoin was you know a way of avoiding, I guess, fraud online. The only issue was at the time, particularly in Australia, there was not a huge amount of adoption. So I think we only ever had one order placed in Bitcoin in the entire time. So it didn't quite work out that way.
And now you don't run it anymore? Or
No, we stopped it in about 2014. And then after that, I launched a payment network, which is the largest gateway for Bitcoin and crypto purchases in Australia. So we allow people to go and pay cash over the counter to buy crypto. That business still runs. I don't run it anymore. There's a team that runs it now, but you know, I'm still involved as a shareholder.
And can you tell us more about Synthetix? How did this idea come to you?
Yeah, so I think in Australia, like Korea, in 2017, there was a strong premium for crypto because Australia doesn't mine any crypto. There's minimal crypto mining in Australia, and so all the crypto that people were purchasing, there was a lot of retail interest. It's a fairly affluent country, was being imported, and so I think the premium at one point was about 10%. And we saw an opportunity to create a stable coin that would allow people to kind of arbitrage that premium. And so we launched the project Haven in 2017. And then obviously in 2018, all of the regulated stable coins came out, USDC. USDT had been around, but you know, USDC, TrueUSD, etc. DAI obviously launched. And we decided at that point that a USD stablecoin was probably not sufficient to really capture a lot of market activity. So then we pivoted to Synthetix and did more generalized synthetic assets. So as you say, you know, gold, silver, oil, equities.
And can you tell us more about Australian crypto scene? How is it going now? What's the market adoption?
Yeah, it's actually interesting because Australia had a very weak startup ecosystem for a very long time. A lot of the good crypto founders and other fintech founders left and went to San Francisco or the US for a very long time. So we had a big brain drain. And I think it's only been maybe in the last 4 or 5 years that successful startups and crypto projects have stayed in Australia. So we've got a ton now. Thorchain, us, Alluvium, Maple. There's probably 10 really top quality DeFi projects. And I think what that's done is create like an ecosystem of support and investment, and it's gotten much better. So I think these days, if you're an Australian crypto startup, it's actually more interesting for VCs than some other areas in the world.
Yeah, I see it's quite developing.
Yeah.
And what is the biggest use case for you for blockchain? Where do you see it's the biggest adoption or the biggest utility?
I mean, at the moment, Vitalik wouldn't like me saying this, but at the moment it's pretty obviously DeFi. I think creating financial services without intermediaries is just a very powerful use case. But on top of that, I'm very interested in NFTs as well. I'm personally a collector. I used to collect, baseball cards and stuff when I was young. And so I think, it's something that is obviously has a much wider appeal. People who are interested in DeFi financial services is a very small group of people. People who are interested in art and culture and music and everything, and is orders of magnitude larger. So I think NFTs are going to be something that's going to bring mainstream adoption maybe faster than financial services.
And what are the most interesting NFTs for you? Any specific ones like arts, music pieces, etc.?
I've got some art blocks. I've got CryptoPunks. I stupidly didn't buy the Bored Apes, Bored Ape Yacht Club, and now I've got so much FOMO. So I think in the next couple of weeks I'm going to FOMO in and buy some Bored Apes. I've missed the boat on that one.
And does Synthetix plan to do anything with NFTs?
We've done a few small things. So we do NFTs for governance, and we've done some NFTs in collaboration with POA. For early governance participation, some early community members.
How do NFTs work for governance?
The people on the Spartan Council have an NFT which gives them governing power. So if you're holding the NFT, you can vote within governance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
And what is the biggest trend for you in DeFi?
Biggest trend, I think at the moment it's still very much around risk. So one of my favorite projects is BondBridge, which is about creating like structured products, risk tranching, etc. And I think that's something that will have a pretty big impact in getting more mainstream adoption. Obviously the degens are happy to go in and do crazy stuff and take a lot of risk, but people want better yield, risk adjusted. And so if there's risk products that can kind of de-risk things, even if the yield is lower, I think that will be an easier way to onboard more institutional money, more kind of sophisticated investors.
And can you tell us about partnerships of Synthetix with other companies? I know you work quite a lot with Chainlink.
Yeah, we love Chainlink. Yeah, we love Chainlink. So obviously Chainlink's working very closely with us to deploy their oracles on Optimism. We work really closely with Optimism as well. And we have a number of projects that are also being spun out of Synthetix as well. Thales, which is a binary options product, Kwenta is being spun out. One of the core contributors left to start a project called Lyra. So there's an ecosystem of smaller projects that's kind of growing.
Yeah, it's very good to
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
What are your price predictions for Bitcoin, for Ethereum?
My Bitcoin price predictions have historically been not super accurate. I'm still very bullish on Ethereum. I think that we do get to 10K Ethereum at some point. It's just a question.
In what time period?
Yeah, that's the question, right? Like, I'm not too worried about time frames. Like, for me, time frame is not the biggest concern. I think a lot of these things are very challenging to implement. Scaling is very hard. The merge is going to be challenging. Things take longer than you might want, but over time, they happen. And I think that as all of these things come together, the price action will follow, right? So if you have a long enough time horizon, it doesn't really matter. We'll get there eventually.
Yes, true. And why people should trade Synths? What are the benefits?
There's a bunch of benefits. Obviously, if you're a native crypto person and you're on Ethereum and you don't want to leave the Ethereum ecosystem, being able to go from gold to Facebook to back to Bitcoin is very powerful. So rather than having multiple different accounts for different assets, you have a single place where you can access all these different asset classes.
And can you share with us plans on the development of Synthetix? What current peers do you have?
Yeah, there's the big thing is obviously optimism and scaling, futures as well. So we're going to have perpetual futures launching hopefully in the next couple of months, and then there's going to be a complete redesign of the system later in the year called Synthetix V3. That's going to fix a lot of the historical issues that have been created and lessons that we've learned. So those are the major initiatives that we're working on.
So what are the key differences of V3?
It's going to be much more efficient. It's going to be a bit more fair. So the distribution of rewards will be a bit more efficient and fair. It's going to be more scalable. It's obviously going to be natively deployed on L2s, on Optimism for scaling. So it's a lot of architectural things, but that should bubble up to a better user experience.
Right, so waiting for the updates from
Always,
Synthetix.
we're always waiting. Synthetix.
Thank you for the interview.
Of course, yeah.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you, guys.